Disclaimer: the information provided on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It should not be considered as financial advice. We are not licensed financial professionals, and any opinions shared are based on personal experiences and research. As always, do your own due diligence and consult with a certified financial advisor or professional before making any investment decisions. Welcome back. We're here at episode 2 of our series, Getting Started Building Your Budget. So I broke this up into a couple part series. So today I'm only going to go over part 1. So, tune in later for part 2. So do part 1, 2, maybe even do a third part. We're just going to go through different budgets, different scenarios, and different ways that people can save in order to get started through their journey. So big shout out to my support system, my family, my loved ones, my friends. The love I got from my first video was unreal. So I'm definitely excited to be back and share some knowledge on getting started building a budget. So here again, welcome to Building Your Budget 101. So this is episode 2. We're going to do our part 1 here. So we're over our mental preparation phase and we're ready to get started building our budget. So we looked ourselves in the mirror. We understand that we can make changes. We understand there's a brighter tomorrow. And we understand our next step is knowing where our money goes. And that's where this budget is going to come into play. All right, so before we get started, the first step is knowing what a budget is, right? So a budget is a financial plan that outlines an individual's income and expenses over a specific period, which is typically a month. So the budget, it'll help track your earnings, your spending, and your savings. So some of you may ask, why is a budget important? When I'm looking at it, I'm able to still pay my bills and live the life that I want and still go have fun with my friends, which a budget doesn't derail you from having fun with your friends. It just gives you a broader perspective on maybe where your money should be going. So here are the 6 things on why a budget is important. So 1, it'll give you control over your finances. Next, it'll help you prevent from overspending. It'll also encourage your savings. And then also it will help with your debt management. So again, we're going to go over the snowball method a little later here in this presentation, but debt management is going to be key in your budget. It'll help you achieve your financial goals, whatever personal goals you have set in place. And it will make you emergency ready for one of those rainy days. You already have the funds set aside to pay for that bigger expense. So to put this in a more macro perspective, 49% of adults in America have $500 or less in their savings account, according to Yahoo Finance. So the average car payment ranges between $500 to $737 a month. So you can kind of do the math and see how that's not adding up to have a brighter tomorrow. So remember, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you can save. So just because you see others with the nicer cars, the bigger houses, does not mean that they're not living check to check, just like most of us. As you can see, only 49% of us have $500 saved in the savings account. So just know, they just earn enough to have that luxury of a lifestyle, but they're not really saving for their future. All right, so now we're going to take a deep dive into a budget. So here we're going to go over a scenario that I created, and it's more realistic than what people think, and then we'll go over that here in the coming. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and let's dive right in. So meet Jaden. Information about Jaden. Jaden is 25 years old and made his him of money the last 2 years. He currently does live with his parents rent-free, so he has a golden opportunity right now. Jaden brings home $1,350 per check after taxes. Jaden has $37,000 worth of debt built up between his credit card, student loans, and car payment. So Jaden, he's a big spender because he has that cushion of being at his parents' house, but he's not a big saver. So he was not interested in getting his 6% match to his 401k at work because he doesn't want that coming out his check. So Jaden currently only has $200 in his savings account, and he's a big spender on Amazon, just like the most of us. So one night, Jaden was just mildly scrolling through his TikTok before bed and noticed a couple videos about having a brighter tomorrow. And that really sparked Jaden's interest. But first, Jaden had to go through his mental preparation phase. So let's break this all down real quick before moving on. So as you can see here, Jaden's gross income per check is $1,779.54 a check. So if you divide that by 80, Jaden's roughly making about $22.23 an hour. For a 25-year-old, that seems pretty realistic to me. And also, this is a fun fact from the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The average person moves out their parents' house by the age of 27. So I did fact check that through ChatGPT as well. And again, I got the same answer of the average person being 25 to 27. So Jaden, he's 25, so he's almost at that 27-year-old age to where it's really time to start getting ready to move out. All right, so now we identified Jaden and we know who he is now. We have his information. I didn't put a title on this slide because we're going to forget about this. This is Jaden's spending habits before he built the budget. So as you can see, he does $1,000 a month into food, dining, and entertainment. $500 a month in the gas, and then all his bills. And then here goes all his debts, right? So right now, Jaden brings home $2,700. So the total in his bills per month is $2,514, and that's only a difference of $186. So that's not enough to fuel really his lifestyle, right? So Jaden is a big spender, kind of how we mentioned. All right, so Jaden was on TikTok. He found his why, essentially, on why he wanted to start looking into a budget. Now he had to go through his mental preparation phase. So now he went through his mental preparation phase. He was able to go ahead and create a budget. So again, as we go through this presentation, it is really hard. It's mentally taxing to do this budget, but I promise you, you just need to take an hour, maybe even 2 hours to really sit down and focus on your budget. So as you can see what Jaden did here, he actually laid out his balances, his estimated costs, and his categories. So his balances is all what he owes on his loans, credit cards. Here is basically how much the bills cost, and then here goes the category. Here is the date. So this is the date the bill is set to come out. So now, as we see here, Jaden just cut his spending in half. So for entertainment. So basically, he can still go have fun, but he's just dialing in. So he's cutting down half his entertainment expenses. Now Jaden freed up $500 in his budget. So now the difference is going to be $686. So Jaden is going ahead. He's matching his 401k to $81 he's putting aside. His savings is at $305 per month. And then he's going to snowball his debt $300 a month as well. All right, so some of you may be asking, what is the snowball method? So the snowball method is a strategy for paying off debt by focusing on the smallest balance first. So the goal of this is to build momentum by rolling over the payments from the smallest debt to the next smallest debt. So this personally works for me because it gives me visualization that I am paying off my debt one by one. And it makes me want to stick to my plan because I can actually see my plan working. You may not see it work the first 2 months that you're doing it, but if you stay consistent to your plan, you will definitely see it pay off, which we're going to go over here in the next couple slides. All right, again, this is one of the hardest parts of doing this. The hardest part is going ahead and it's really seeing these large balances on a piece of paper with the interest rates and your minimal payments. But in order to get started, you have to do this step. This is one of the most important steps. Remember, you mentally prepared yourself for a couple of days now in order for you to look at this. You can get all this by just the palm of your hand. Go to your banking app, open up your statements, open up your loan payments, and start jotting these down. So as you can see, Jaden listed it all from smallest balance to the highest balance, listed the minimal payments and the interest rates because the interest rates are going to matter as well as you're trying to build. All right, so we're moving on to the next slide here. So now we're going to talk about the power of the snowball. So as you can see here, Jaden got started. He said, okay, I'm taking the first step and I'm applying my first payment. So Jaden's minimum payment for this credit card is $35. So Jaden has an extra payment of $300 because remember, in his budget now, he freed up $300 to go towards his debt. So that brings the total amount to $335 per month. So this is going to take Jaden about 5 months to pay off this debt for this credit card. So we're paying that off in just under a year. So now Jaden's going to roll over the next payment. So as you can see, Jaden's now able to roll over $335. Remember the minimum payment plus the extra payment because his card's paid off. So he's able to roll that over plus the minimum payment on this card. So that gives you $370 per month. So this is actually going to take Jaden 4 months to pay off this credit card. So we're still within 1 year. So in 1 year's time, we're able to knock out $3,000 worth of debt. So now Jaden's able to take both of these and apply it to credit card A, which has a $3,000 balance on it. So Jaden is now able to put $500 per month on this card, which he pays this card off in 6 months. So after Jaden pays off his $6,000 worth of credit card bills, because those are going to be the highest interest as well. So that's kind of how I pictured it. I know the snowball effect goes with, the lowest balance, but getting out that high interest debt is also important as well. So now we're going to focus on paying off the car loan. So that has $11,000 balance on it. So this allows Jaden to go ahead and take the $500 he had for the payment there on top of his $450 car payment, which is $900 per month. So he pays his car off in about 12 months. So after he pays that off, now we're sitting about at 27 months total. Now we're going to go ahead and go over to the student loans. So Jaden, he's able to roll over $950 because remember, it's all of these payments combined. So now he's really going to tackle down his student loan debt. Trust me, we're all here, right? So we're all here. So stick with me here. So now the new payment of the student loans is going to be $1,109 per month. So Jaden's actually now going to clear off his debt in full on the student loan in 17 months. All right, now let's go over the summary of Jaden's path to being debt-free. So remember, he still lives with his parents. So Jaden was actually able to clear off all his debt in 3 years and 8 months. So remember, he started with $37,000 worth of debt and only $200 in the savings account. So now he is debt-free 3 years and 8 months in, and now he is still living with his parents. So now we're going to go over Jaden's current situation. All right, so now we're going to take a quick look at Jaden's current situation. So Jaden is now 28, turning 29. So he still basically had the same lifestyle, right? So he's living with his parents. So now he's really reaping the benefits of having that free rent. Jaden still brings home the same amount as he did when he was 25. But Jaden did start getting a bit more serious in his career. So now he's going to set to bring home $1,500 a check here soon. Jaden paid off all his debt, but now Jaden has to pay for his own insurance, which is $120 a check. Jaden continued to match his 401k at the 6% rate that his work offers him, and he stayed disciplined in his saving rates. So let's just break this down a little bit. So Jaden, he's now 26, so yes, he has to pay for his own insurance. Once you turn 26, you fall off your parents' insurance. So that's something that you have to account for in your budget once you turn the age of 26. So a tip that I learned that Jaden could have done, and I wish I knew this before I turned 26, I actually learned this from the Money Guy podcast, is Jaden could have gone to the HR system at his job. He could have looked at the premiums for the insurance, and he could have accounted for that in his budget. So let's just say, for example, the premium would be $240 a month. If Jaden would have took that $240 a month for that 1 year because he was 25 and put it into the stock market, let's just say we put it in at a 10% rate. We're just going with the S&P 500 rate, annual return on average. That would actually net him $3,168. And as you can see here, Jaden now has $14,108 saved. So his emergency funds are sitting pretty. And now he also has $18,594 in his 401k with an 8% annual return. So you got to think he's getting a 6% match on his $81 per month. So I broke it down here, right? So I did a 4-year period because this came out to be about 3.8 months. So let's just say at a 4-year period, his initial investment, because remember, he didn't have any investments in his accounts. So his initial investment would have been his first match in his 401k, which would be $324 a month. So he did that for 4 years at an 8% return annually. So this will actually bring him to the $18,594, as you can see in the chart. So as you can see, the blue is the total principal. So this is all that he's put in. And then the green shows how the stock market really drove up his earnings. Now, just imagine, this is just in a 4-year period. Imagine what this would look like in 10 years, 15 years, a 20-year career. You can really start seeing the benefits Jaden's getting. So he's already basically gearing up for his next step to move out. Jaden, he has his emergency fund built. He has a chunk of change in his 401k. So he has enough to go ahead, and whether if he wants to rent, whether if he wants to own a home, that's up to him. Again, this is your journey, so you have to make that decision. But regardless, he is ready to take the next step in his life and ready to keep growing within his career. And this is what this journey is about. Like I said, keep in mind, you want to do your homework, you want to do your research, and you want to educate yourself. So continue doing that while you continue to try to save. Again, this is all about building better habits for a better tomorrow. So the S&P, let's break it down, right? So let's just say for a company like Apple, we're just going to use Apple for example because they're a blue chip stock. So Apple, let's say usually their value is at $100 for their stock per share, right? So, Jaden, he's putting the money in $100, $100. Let's just say Apple stocks drop to $70 a share. So why does it drop? Who knows, right? But if I'm Jaden, I know Apple is a true and tried company, and I know Apple is very innovative, especially with tech companies. Tech companies are going to fluctuate with the market depending on what's going on in the outside world. So, just know that companies in the stock market doesn't always have control because of things that happen outside of their control when it comes to the economy. So let's just say Apple shares go to $70. A lot of people will panic and pull out. But what I tend to see is an opportunity. I see a 30% sale. So if I have money set aside like Jaden, I will put money into Apple just to see if it's going to come up, because I truly believe that it's a big company. Everyone has an iPhone. Apple's innovative. They will bounce back, and you will see them go back to their original price. So now you're buying at a discount and you're holding. Apple's one of those companies you want to hold for long term. So you're holding that. So now you're really gaining momentum because you bought your shares at a discounted price. So for example, we're going to go what happened in the news recently. So everyone probably heard of DeepSeek if you're into the investment or tech space. So DeepSeek is an AI company in China. And what happened was there was an announcement saying that DeepSeek is going to start taking over the AI world. And you really saw people panic, and you saw in the video have one of the biggest losses, the biggest loss in stock market history in a single day. Next day, Nvidia bounced right back. So investors looked at the rich keep getting richer. So that's the thing. The rich keep getting richer. They saw a prime opportunity. They put the money into Nvidia, even though it had the biggest drop in the day in stock market history. And now they were gaining 9% returns on that investment the next day while Nvidia is still going to grow. So that is the things that you got to keep an eye out on. So again, I'm no guru to this. I just do my education. I do my research, and it's all a risk. Everything you do is a risk. It's just how do you educate yourself enough to limit that risk? All right, so before we wrap up here today, I want to give you guys some resources and some books that really helped me along my way when I was getting started. So my first book I read was The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. The second book I went to was Budgeting 101 by Michelle Kagan, CPA. And then the third book I'm currently reading actually is You Deserve to Be Rich by Rashad Bile and Troy Mullins. So what I've learned in The Psychology of Money is that it gave me a different perspective on money and how different walks of life can influence you, good or bad. It helped me understand that everyone's not in the same shoe and that we will all make mistakes. But it's okay. We're going to make mistakes, but can we bounce back? So remember, lost dollars turns into learned lessons. Budgeting 101, this book gave me an insight of the importance of a budget. So it breaks down everything that you need to know about starting your budget in order to meet your goals. And I'm currently still reading You Deserve to Be Rich. But what I've found out in the first half of the book, it really shows you how to budget, what to break down, and what goals you should try to achieve. So in this book, this is one of my favorite podcasts that I watch. So, this is based on Earn Your Leisure. So, they have good content, good videos. It really kind of inspired me to really, share my knowledge as well, because I'm in the beginner stage, and
All right,
they
everyone,
have.
that wraps up the presentation for today. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining and listening all the way to the end. Just know your journey is your journey. This is Jaden's journey. There's a lot of people out there who do live with their parents who don't take advantage of their current situation. So, this is only part one. So part two, I'm really looking forward into bringing shed to light with someone who may have a house but a little further in their career. So stay tuned for that. But thank you again. Thank you for all the love. Thank you for all the support.